Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining for another practice of Qigong for balance today. So I thought we'd ground and get a bit more into our lower body, come back into the present moment, open, loosen up our joints as usual and flow gently on to the rest of our day or evening, whatever time frame you're on. So find yourself some comfortable clothes and a space where you can move to the full length of your body. So we're going to do a couple of balances, so be aware of what's around you, whether you want to lean or not. So when you're ready, maybe you've paused the video, just bringing those hands together at the chest, bringing the palms just to touch the sternum. It invites a slight lift of the heart, nice grounding and centering breath. And let's go for our usual opening with those wrists. So we're just like an hourglass shape, really flexing the fingers. We can hold the elbows kind of steady, find what feels good for you. The focus on this is just to bring mobility, movement, awareness through each of our joints. Sometimes they get locked into repetitive movements. We only use them in a certain way in our general life. So this is just an invite to keep those joints fully mobile, fully open, and hopefully leaving a bit more stretched and open. And keep flexing them fingers as we now go to the shoulders, and really just allowing the shoulders to roll around, so the tops of the shoulders are leading the movement. So the backs of the hands come forward and then the palms are facing forward. Just starting to notice your breath. You can do this at your own pace, find what feels good. Again, let the palms face away, let the upper arm bring the lower arms around. Just loosely with the lower arms and back a few times to reset. Nice opening of the chest, this one. Lovely. So let's go on to open up our waist and our centre channel. So you can do this one either from stationary and just be rotating, imagining the hips are set in stone. And we're opening up that upper body, allowing as well, imagine the ribs are moving away from the waist and away, so we're just getting a bit of a stretch in the side body as well. And then we can bring in the rest of the hips if we choose. You can tuck the tailbone at the back and then open up the front a bit at the front. We're going to be opening our hip flexors, so this is just to warm and open the body up a bit. In Qigong and Chinese medicine, they tend to go by variations of 3, the number 3, so I can find it quite helpful sometimes to count and sometimes to flow. But it can offer me another way of grounding the mind in the moment and in the practice. Right, shaking that off. Lovely. Right, let's actually go on to open up the neck and kind of finish with the upper trunk, and then we'll go to our lower body. So bringing the palms in, those of you familiar, Al turns its head. So we're letting them fingertips sink down to the side and come back to the centre. There's a slight bend in the knees and we lift slightly to lift up. This is just to open up the neck, open up the inner arms. Really let them fingertips, let gravity do the work. So like yin yoga, we're just relaxing, breathing, letting body, gravity bring the stretch. Getting into the position and then we're relaxing and opening into that. Just breathing and allowing. One more breath. And back to centre. Now for you, those of you that feel tension and tightness in the top of the shoulder, this tends to be quite popular. So we scoop around and let them fingertips drop down at the sides. So imagine with the palms of your hands you're scooping like water and then you're pushing them to the sides. Final time. Let the neck roll. Just realise how much this top clashes with the background, but hey! And the other way. Balance can also be about finding the cause for laughter and humour and rolling with life. Meeting those imperfections and letting it be. Okay, So let's get into this lower body. Now we're going to do some hip openers. So for this, if you're seated, you can just bring the ankle to the top of that thigh. For those of us that are standing, whether it's helpful for you to lean against a wall or you're able to just bring your balance. In fact, let's just imagine mountain pose, those that are familiar with yoga, or your wuji stance. And from that place, shifting the weight slightly to the left, you might have a drishti point or a fixed point that you stare at in space. And we're keeping the toes flexed, okay? So you're imagining lifting the toes up towards the knee just to maintain the integrity of the knee. And then switch sides. So this one's just to open the inside of our hips. And this balance, bringing us nice and grounded. Again, maintaining that flex so that the toes are pulling up towards the knee to maintain the integrity of that joint. When you feel comfortable with that, you can add the arms. This one's called Heron Spreads Its Feathers. So as we bring the knee up, we're taking them palms face up, out to the sides and back to centre. So we lift as the fingertips come in at the sides and then out at the sides, maintaining that awareness in the lower body, bringing them toes up to meet the knee. Just a couple more times up on each side. Meet yourself with compassion. Listen to your body. So this is opening up in the glute, in the hip flexor. Just bringing a bit of openness to the lower body. And a bit of balance. And a bit of a spiral through those arms. Okay, shake that out if that feels good. We can also integrate these with a bit of a hip flexor. Just brings everything back into alignment and the other way. Noticing if the movement feels any different. Okay, so this next lower body opener is called Phoenix Spreads Its Feathers. So there's a lot of birds today. So for this one, we're going to be stepping into a lunge. For those that isn't accessible to, seated in your chair, you can follow with the upper body movement. Your mind is incredibly powerful, so you can keep in awareness to your lower body, the soles of your feet, and just focusing on feeling what feels good in your upper body as we're doing this. So, taking a step forward to a degree that feels comfortable for you, okay? So, it might be a rather large step, it might be small. For those of you that are stepping small and you're preferring, the ideal is to have your foot, the ankle, the heel of the back foot raised off the floor. For those that have got it flat, have that at 45 degrees before you're leaning into that lunge. Okay, so stepping back, we're going to bring the arms to cross. And as the arms come up, we're lifting, we're going to turn those arms. So let's practice that. So the arms are like this. So this one, your left hand might be on the front, turning and it ends up behind. Okay? So the inside of the wrist, the outer wrist just rolls around. Okay, let's give that a go. Stepping back, opening that chest. And then we lift slightly in the legs and we sink slightly. We lift and we sink. And the palms are just facing out at the sides. So from the side view, making sure your knee doesn't go over your toes to protect the joints and the knee. One day there might be a studio, more space, but now we just share for the love of sharing the practice. Okay, back up, and this time as the arms come over, we just separate the arms and down. Okay, stepping back with the other leg. In fact, I think I just did the same leg. Okay, arms crossed, lift up and down. Really nice opening of the chest. We're opening up into the hip. Slight lift in the tailbone and it's like sinking. So we've got that lower body awareness, we're opening our heart. And breathing out on the exhale is where we're opening these arms. And for the final one, we can hold this, but then palms literally facing, palms facing out at the sides. So we're opening the arms, opening the heart, warming in that lower body, and when you're ready, stepping together, arms cross, out to the sides and down. Okay, so hopefully that's the lower body a little bit more open. I've opened up with the knees, let's just open up them ankles. Give them a good shake. And if you're barefoot, by all means flex them toes, really let the whole foot move in ways that feel good. Lovely. So let's do a little bit of silk reeling to get that wave flowing now right the way through the body. So from the side view, we're in our basic Wuji stance, which is legs slightly wider than shoulder pit width, letting the shoulder blades kind of melt down the back body. We've got our crown, line of opposition between the crown and the tailbone as if they're pushing away from each other. Slight dip. Okay, when you're ready, deep breath, grounding in the body, and we're just hands on the thighs, we're just going to roll. So imagine that wave coming from the soles of the feet, up the legs and through the body. So this is just to get the energy flowing right the way through the body, awareness through the whole body, so you can imagine a wave connecting you in mind. Just imagine following that wave through the body with the mind. Just gently opening the front and back of the spine, still warming into the lower body. Lovely. Okay, so hopefully feeling a little bit looser in the upper body now. Let's do our usual knocking the door of life just to twist to the spine. We've warmed up the neck already. So this one, we can go gentle. You can start with water waves. So we're just turning from this inner waist area, just inside the hips. And we're letting the arms just follow along. For those that it feels comfortable with, you can turn and look behind. And our arm is going to lift and knock gently on the lower back, never directly on the spine. It'll be banging to either side. We call it tapping. And they call the lower back the door of life. So this is invigorating, this is connecting us to our body's energy, connecting us to our core. Nice opening in the spine. We've done all of our directions now. We've opened to the front and back. We've opened sideways on. So much goes on in that spine and the trunk. It's nice to just open up and loosen up. Slowing it down, slowing it down, slowing it down. Okay, so if you're noticing any areas of tension or tightness now's the time to release them. So maybe in the shoulders, just giving it a bit of a tap, a bit of an exhale, as if you're releasing, breathing in, and releasing with an exhale. You can just loosen up if there's any tension in the lower back. Again, either side, but never directly on and down. Back up the inside, again on the lower back. Just get curious. I find with different practices, every day my body's different and it tells me where it might need a bit more of a stretch, or I might feel a bit more tender. And just give it a bit more awareness. Okay, so for today's practice, we're just going to do a couple of flows and seal off. So settle down in your Wuji, finding your tailbone sinking down, your crown lifting up, and starting to notice where the breath is landing in the body. Slight tuck of the chin, lift of the crown. And with those palms, the fingers are facing inwards towards each other and slightly cupped as well, as if we're holding a bowl in front of our belly. You can imagine a bowl or ball of light in the abdomen and just breathing into this space. Don't worry too much about anything that doesn't resonate. Find what feels good. It's proven helpful to me to anchor the mind in the practice. So just notice where the breath's landing and inviting it to soften and deepen without force, just offering the body an invite. When we bring our attention to something, there's the potential for change. Relaxing them shoulders, feeling them melt down the back body. Now bring your awareness through the full body, aware of your crown lifting, aware of the four corners of the soles of your feet, aware of the slight stretching in your palms, all the while the breath sinks in the body. We hold Wuji for a couple of minutes, we can build that up. And Wuji they call the highest state of nothing, so it's a place I come to just fill the cup, to settle in. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. If it helps, keeping awareness in the breath, notice anywhere there's a tension or tightness in the body. Just being with it. Just a few more seconds. Feeling a slight lift in the front of your body, it's like grounding down the back body. If you haven't already, give your belly full permission to soften and relax. And after the next deep breath, we go to the fountain. Hands come together and imagine they're washing over the surface of water. Backs of the palms together and are rotating around the elbow, down to the sides. So again, just like our silk reeling, a wave comes up the body and washes down the sides. Feeling the wave of the breath rise with the hands. And soften and release. The water comes up the middle and that fountain softens, settles. Through a repeated movement, the body can settle, the mind can relax. And become more aware. A couple more times. Over time, the aim is to slightly lengthen the flows, or it can be. Back to the belly and release. Okay, next flow is going to be cloudy hands. So for those of you familiar, we'll start with the lower body movement. So the legs go from shoulder width to slightly wider. We've got one palm facing the floor, one palm facing our heart. Now if we just start with the lower body movement, just gently moving from one side to the other. Not hugely, knees not going over the toes. We're just moving as if I'm on a plane, as if I'm on a train track but going sideways. So I'm following that same plane, still slightly bent in the knees, crown lifted. Now when I get to the side, I turn, palms change, okay? So we get to the side, I turn from this inner waist, upper arm drops down, lower arm lifts up, the palm's now facing the floor, and we shift. Turn, arms change, shift, turn, arms change, shift. And there are in the June Qigong challenge, which I'll link below, These are all broken down step by step. You hold the breath, and then as the hands change, the breath changes. Change. Breathing in, and at this point you'd be breathing out. This one, cloudy hands, that lake, hands trailing over the lake. The sun is evaporating the surface, steam rising. It's the heart balanced by water. There's a nice rounding in the arm as if it's a sail, catching the wind. Time. And back to centre, back to your wuji, legs shoulder width, dipping the tail, lift of the crown, palms at the abdomen, pebble in the pond. So we bring the palms to the abdomen and imagine they're tracing over the surface of water and then around and back in. So we're releasing, imagine waves rippling out, and we're breathing in, bringing it to our stomach kind of area. The stomach, the spleen, the earth element. Feeling the connection with your lower body. Feeling peace in your mind as the waves wash out through the fingers. Final time. Back to the abdomen, let the breath land. And let's close. One arm comes round and through the centre. Call this one centering, so coming back to the self. Lovely one to do anytime you're feeling quite in the head or quite scattered. There feels like there's a lot of pulls on your attention. I've done this before. Just 30 seconds on a toilet break, just a bit of time. And in this practice we're just bringing back the fruits of our practice back to the core. Final time. Now, both arms come round and up. As we inhale, you can imagine gathering whatever quality of energy you most need, and imagine that just washing right through the body. So for some, it's imagining a purple light coming in and softening down through the head, the shoulders, the chest, the abdomen, down through those legs, through the soles of the feet. So just letting yourself fill up on whatever you need, release whatever you don't. Perhaps even putting a name, a colour, a feeling to what you most need, and letting that wash down and come to centre in your core. Legs come together, it's like bending the knees. We're just rocking and swaying like bamboo in the wind. So there's this kind of sinking in the tailbone, lift of the crown, and just letting your body move how it feels comfortable. Giving your belly permission to soften, letting the breath land in the body, and just noticing now running your mind through your body. How does your body feel from when you started? Through those shoulders and the neck, through your arms, through the chest, the abdomen, through the hips, the thighs, the glutes, maybe more awareness around the lower body, the shins and calves, and through them feet. Taking a nice centering breath, and then just circling up the right hand side and down the left hand side. So I'll be doing the opposite of you now. And bringing it into centre. Final deep breath. Imagine breathing a ball of light into your abdomen. And release with an audible sigh. Namaste everyone. Take what works, leave what doesn't, find what feels good, and I will see you at the same time next week. Take good care. Namaste.